I never thought that I would ever be burying my child. I never thought that. I thought my kids would be burying me.
April 26, 2025, Southfield, Michigan. Police officers stand in front of an SUV parked in a quiet driveway. Inside the vehicle sits a sealed plastic bin. Nobody knows what's inside. But when they open it, they find something so terrifying: the body of 17-year-old London Thomas, a girl who vanished 3 weeks ago without a trace. But here's where this case gets even darker. The person who helped hide London's body in that bin? It wasn't a stranger. It wasn't some random accomplice. It was the mother of the man accused of killing her. A mother who allegedly looked investigators in the eye and lied to protect her son. This is the story of a teenage girl who trusted the wrong person, a family torn apart by unimaginable loss, and a cover-up so cold, so calculated, that it took 6 months and multiple law enforcement agencies to crack.
Thanks for joining us tonight at 11. I'm Shayna Humphreys.
And I'm Terrence Friday. It's been 6 months since Thomas was killed. Now both Charlotte Pendergrass and her son Jalen are facing serious charges for her death.
What really happened to London Thomas? And how far will a mother go to protect her child, even when that child may be a killer? Welcome to Crazy Dark Files, where we uncover the truth behind the cases that shake us to our core. If you're new here, this channel is dedicated to bringing you the most compelling true crime stories, cases that need to be told, victims who deserve justice, and families who refuse to give up. Hit that subscribe button right now and turn on your notifications so you never miss an upload. Before we dive deep into London's story, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me, what state or country are you watching from? And have you heard about the London Thomas case before today? Let me know in the comments. Now let's go back to where this nightmare began. Back to a 17-year-old girl with her whole life ahead of her. Back to April 5th, 2025, at 4 o'clock in the morning, when London Thomas made a decision that cost her life. London was 17 years old, just 17. She was a senior in high school, counting down the days until graduation. She had her prom dress picked out. She had plans for her future. She had dreams that were just starting to take shape. If you looked at London, one of the first things you'd notice was the colorful butterfly tattoo on the left side of her neck. Bright, beautiful, a symbol of transformation and freedom. Her friends said it fit her personality perfectly. London grew up in the Detroit area. She went to Beach Elementary School and later Hilbert Middle School. The people who knew her during those years remember a girl who was always smiling, always working hard, always making people laugh. But the people who knew London best were her family. Her father, Cedric Salisbury, was her rock. They talked every single day. "Me and my daughter are like this," he said, holding up 2 fingers pressed together. "She called me for everything. Everything, big decisions, small problems, random thoughts." London didn't go a day without calling her dad. And then there was her grandmother, Justina Martin. London had a special bond with her too. Just days before she disappeared, London called her grandmother, asking for pizza money. Tristina gave her $20. It was such a normal moment. The kind of moment families have every day, without thinking twice about it. London had a habit that her grandmother will never forget. She would call and say, "Grandma, I love you," just like that, out of nowhere. Not because she needed anything, just because she wanted her grandmother to know, "I miss talking to my grandbaby." Justina said months later, her voice breaking, "I got her pictures all over my house." London's friends described her as smart and hardworking.
She was so smart. You know what I mean? She was so hardworking. You know, she always had a job.
I'm usually not even the type to cry, and I was crying in tears last night.
These young girls out here got so much ahead of them. She was graduating, going to prom. I feel like she had so much ahead of her. She graduates this year, next month actually.
She was supposed to graduate with me.
Yeah, and it's just sad that, all her life is taken away from her.
She wasn't the type to just coast through life. She put in the effort. She cared about doing things right. One friend said, she had so much ahead of her. She was graduating, going to prom. It's just sad that all her life was taken away from her. London Thomas was dating someone her family didn't approve of. His name was Jalen Pendergrast. He was 23 years old. Remember, London was only 17. That's a 6-year age gap. It might not sound like much, but think about it. Jalen was a grown man. London was still in high school. He could legally drink. She couldn't even vote yet. He had years of adult experience. She was still figuring out who she was. London's family knew about the relationship, and they weren't happy. According to them, London wasn't supposed to be dating Jalen at all. But like many teenagers, London did it anyway. Here's the problem. The family didn't know much about him. They didn't know his background. They didn't know what kind of person he really was. And that lack of knowledge would turn out to be deadly. Prosecutors would later reveal something crucial about this relationship. By the time London showed up at Jalen's house on April 5th, the relationship had ended. They had broken up. So why was London going to see him at 4 in the morning? Was she trying to get closure? Was she picking up her things? Was he asking her to come over one last time? In September 2021, a woman came forward on TikTok with a shocking allegation. She said that Jalen Pendergrast had sexually assaulted her. Not once, multiple times. She called him her rapist. She said the assaults happened in an area very close to where London's phone would later ping after her disappearance. When London went missing, this same woman posted videos trying to warn people. She was terrified that the man who hurt her had now hurt someone else. She wanted people to know who Jalen really was. Now, it's important to say that these were allegations. Jalen was never convicted of those crimes. But the woman's fear was real. Her warning was real, and it raises a terrifying question. Was there a pattern here? Was London just the latest young woman to trust Jalen Pendergrast? And if the relationship had ended, what happened when London showed up that morning to face him one last time? Because here's what we know about dangerous relationships. The most dangerous time for a victim is when they try to leave. When they try to end it. When they try to take back control. London Thomas walked into that house at 4 a.m. on April 5th. 2025. She would never walk out. It was early. Really early. 4 o'clock in the morning on April 5th, 2025, London Thomas asked her sister for a favor. She needed a ride to Jalen's place. Her sister agreed. She drove London to the 27,260 block of Carlisle Street in Inkster, Michigan. It was a residential area, quiet. The kind of neighborhood where people mind their own business. London was wearing pink Croc shoes, black leggings, and a dark-colored hoodie. Casual, comfortable. She probably thought she'd be home in a few hours. Her sister dropped her off and drove away. That was the last time anyone saw London Thomas alive. Hours passed. Then a full day. London didn't come home. She didn't call. She didn't text. Nothing. Her sister knew something was wrong immediately. On April 5th, the same day she dropped London off, she reported her missing to the Inkster Police Department. The next day, April 6th, London's mother also filed a missing person report with the Detroit police. London still hadn't come home. She still hadn't made contact with anyone. For a girl who called her father every single day, this was terrifying. Cedric Salisbury, London's father, was in a panic. "Me and my daughter are like this," he told reporters, pressing 2 fingers together. "She called me for everything. This is not normal behavior for her." London's grandmother, Justina Martin, felt the same dread. Just days earlier, she had talked to London. She had given her $20 for pizza. Everything seemed fine, normal. And now, silence. "She would have called me or her father," Justina said. There was no doubt in her mind. If London was okay, she would have called. But then investigators discovered something strange, something that made this case even more suspicious. London's phone, it was pinging, but not at Jaylen's house on Carlisle Street, where she was dropped off. It was pinging at Cooper Elementary School in Westland, Michigan, a completely different location. Why was her phone there? Did someone take it there? Did someone dump it there to throw off investigators? Or was London taken there against her will? The family tracked the phone's location themselves. They went to the elementary school. They searched the area. They couldn't find the phone physically, but they knew it had been there. This was the moment the family realized London wasn't just missing. She was in danger. Cedric Salisbury would later say, "I can't do nothing without my daughter. It's been the hardest thing I ever had to face in my life." But at that moment, on April 5th and 6th, the family still had hope. They still believed they could find her. They still believed she might come home. They had no idea that London was already gone, and they had no idea that her body was being hidden in one of the most disturbing ways imaginable. Cedric Salisbury wasn't going to sit around and wait. His daughter was missing, and he was going to find her. "I've been out days looking by myself," he said. "No help, no nothing." But soon he wouldn't be alone. The family organized search parties. They printed flyers with London's picture. They posted on social media. They reached out to everyone they knew and even people they didn't know. And the community responded. Friends showed up. Family members showed up. And then something amazing happened. Strangers started showing up. People who had never met London or her family. People who just saw the posts on Facebook and wanted to help. People who believed that every missing person deserves to be found. Cedric was overwhelmed. "I don't even have a social media presence," he said. "So it just took me by surprise." Everybody came together. It was heartwarming and it was a blessing. The search focused on the area near Cooper Elementary School in Westland, where London's phone had last pinged. Volunteers combed through woods. They searched wetlands. They checked abandoned trailers. They looked in places most people wouldn't want to go. One volunteer described the scene. "There's a lot of woods. A lot of Royal Cemetery is definitely creepy." But they kept searching, day after day, week after week. London's grandmother, Justina Martin, made an emotional plea to the public. "I just want whoever got her to return her, or let us know where she at." Cedric spoke directly to London, hoping somehow she could hear him. "I'm trying. I'm looking so hard to find you. I love you. Please, call me and let me know you're okay." But there was no call, no text, no sign of London. The flyers went up all over the Detroit area. London's face was everywhere. Her description was shared thousands of times online. The butterfly tattoo on her neck, the pink Crocs, the black leggings, the dark hoodie. People were looking. People cared. But as the days turned into weeks, hope started to fade. The family could feel it. That sinking feeling that maybe, just maybe, London wasn't coming home. Still, they didn't stop. They couldn't stop. Cedric said it best. "We're not going to quit." The community stood with them. Vigils were held. Prayers were said. People who had never met London felt connected to her story. They felt the family's pain. And through it all, one question haunted everyone. Where is London Thomas? The answer was closer than anyone realized, and it was more horrifying than anyone could have imagined. Take a moment and imagine being in Cedric's shoes. Your daughter is missing. You're searching day after day, not knowing if she's alive or dead, not knowing if she's scared, hurt, or calling out for you. Every minute feels like an hour. Every hour feels like a lifetime. What would you do? How far would you go to find answers? If this case is hitting you the way it's hitting me, do me a favor, hit that like button right now. It helps us bring attention to cases like London's that deserve justice. It helps us make sure her story is heard. And drop a comment below. Do you think the family suspected the boyfriend from the beginning? What would you have done in their situation? April 7th, 2025. 2 days after London Thomas disappeared, while her family was printing flyers and organizing search parties, something else was happening. something cold, something calculated. Charla Pendergrass, Jalen's 49-year-old mother, picked up her phone and made a call. She called a male friend, someone she trusted, someone who wouldn't ask too many questions. She had a favor to ask. "Can you help me move a sealed plastic bin?" That's it. That's all she said. A sealed plastic bin. She didn't say what was inside. She didn't explain why she needed help. She just asked if he could move it for her. And here's the thing that still haunts this case. The friend said yes, no questions asked. He agreed to help. Think about that for a second. A sealed bin, unknown contents. And he just agreed. 4 days later, on April 11th, the friend showed up. He picked up the bin. Prosecutors say he transported it to a home on Millard Street in Southfield. He carried it to an SUV parked in the driveway. He placed the bin inside. Then he left. The bin sat there, sealed, hidden in plain sight, parked in a driveway like it was nothing, like it was just another piece of junk someone was storing in their car. But inside that bin was London Thomas, a 17-year-old girl who had been missing for 6 days. A girl whose father was walking through woods calling her name. A girl whose grandmother was praying for a miracle. And while the family searched, that bin just sat there, day after day, week after week. Meanwhile, law enforcement was starting to close in. The FBI got involved. This wasn't just a local missing person case anymore. Multiple agencies were working together now. Inkster Police, Detroit Police, the FBI, Michigan State Police. They were all coordinating, sharing information, building a case, and their focus kept coming back to one person, Jalen Pendergrass, the boyfriend, the last person to see London alive, the man whose house she went to at 4 a.m. and never left. Investigators wanted to talk to him. They had questions, lots of questions, but Jalen wasn't cooperating. He was evasive. He wasn't giving them straight answers. London's family could see it too. They knew something was wrong. They knew he was hiding something. London's aunt spoke to reporters, and you could hear the frustration in her voice. All of these lies just to push us away from what we're trying to do. What did you do with her? You were the last person seen with her. It was a simple question, a fair question. If you're innocent, if you have nothing to hide, why not just tell the truth? Why not help the family find her? But Jalen stayed quiet. And his mother Charla stayed quiet too, because they both knew something the family didn't know yet. They knew exactly where London was. They knew she wasn't coming home. They knew that sealed plastic bin sitting in that SUV in Southfield held the answer to everyone's questions. And they were doing everything they could to make sure no one found out. Nearly 2 weeks after London disappeared, law enforcement made their move. FBI agents, ATF officers, Inkster Police, and possibly Detroit Police descended on Carla Street, the street where Jalen Pendergrass lived, the street where London was last seen. They had search warrants. They were going inside. Neighbors watched as officers surrounded the house. Vehicles blocked the street. This wasn't a casual visit. This was serious. Investigators were looking for evidence, DNA evidence, electronic evidence, anything that could tell them what happened to London Thomas. They extracted data from phones, text messages, call logs, digital footprints that could reveal the truth. And according to reports, they found something. Concerning information, they called it. Information that made them believe something terrible had happened in that house. They collected evidence, they bagged it, they documented everything. They were building a case. London's family watched from a distance, hoping this would finally give them answers, hoping this would bring London home. Her stepfather, Darnell Johnson, had suspected Jalen and his mother from the beginning. "It's always been heavy on my mind that they were involved somehow, some way," he said. Now it seemed like investigators felt the same way. The walls were closing in on Jalen Pendergrass. The evidence was mounting. The timeline was becoming clearer, but there was still one massive problem. London was still missing. The raid gave investigators evidence. It gave them probable cause. It gave them reasons to believe a crime had been committed, but it didn't give them London. And that's the question that hung in the air as officers left the house that day, carrying bags of evidence to their vehicles. Is London Thomas still alive? Deep down, everyone knew the answer, but no one wanted to say it out loud because saying it out loud would make it real. And as long as there was even the smallest sliver of hope, the family held on to it. They prayed, they waited, they hoped for a miracle, but miracles don't always come. April 26, 2025. 3 weeks after London Thomas disappeared, the friend who moved the sealed plastic bin couldn't take it anymore. His conscience was eating him alive. He knew something was wrong. He knew he had to speak up. He contacted Inkster police. He told them everything. About the phone call from Charla Pendergrass, about the sealed bin, about transporting it to Millard Street in Southfield, about placing it in the SUV. Investigators didn't waste a second. Police, FBI agents, and Michigan State Police rushed to the Southfield address. They pulled up to the house. They saw the SUV in the driveway, the same SUV the friend had described. They approached the vehicle. They opened the door, and there it was, the sealed plastic bin, sitting in the back. It had been there for 2 weeks, just sitting there, waiting to be found. Officers carefully opened the bin. Inside was London Thomas, the 17-year-old girl who had been missing for 21 days. The girl whose father had walked through woods calling her name. The girl whose grandmother had prayed every night for her safe return. She was gone. The medical examiner was called to the scene. An autopsy was performed. The findings were heartbreaking. Cause of death, asphyxia. Asphyxia means oxygen deprivation. It means someone or something stopped London from breathing. It could have been strangulation. It could have been suffocation. Either way, it was violent. It was intentional. The manner of death was ruled a homicide. London Thomas had been murdered. When the family got the news, their worst nightmare became reality. The hope they had been clinging to for 3 weeks was gone. London wasn't coming home. She would never call her father again. She would never tell her grandmother, "I love you," again. The community was devastated. Friends who had helped search for London were now mourning her. One friend said, "She was graduating, going to prom. She had so much ahead of her. 17 years old, her whole life ahead of her, and someone took it all away. Someone killed her. Someone sealed her body in a plastic bin. Someone asked a friend to move that bin to a different location. Someone let her family search for weeks, knowing exactly where she was." That level of cruelty is hard to comprehend. But it's the reality of what happened to London Thomas. And now, investigators had a body. They had evidence. They had a timeline. It was time to bring charges. In May 2025, about a month after London's body was found, police made an arrest. Charla Pendergrass, Jalen's mother, was taken into custody. She was charged with lying to a peace officer in a violent crime investigation. Here's what she lied about. Charla told investigators that she saw London leave the Inkster home on April 5th. She said London walked out. She said London left alive. But phone records told a different story. Video footage told a different story. London never left that house alive. Charla Pendergrass looked investigators in the eye and lied. She tried to cover up what happened to London. She tried to protect her son. The evidence was clear. Phone records don't lie. Video footage doesn't lie. The case seemed solid. The family finally felt like justice was coming. But then, in August 2025, something unbelievable happened. The charges against Charla Pendergrass were dismissed. The reason? A legal technicality. Charla had lied to an FBI agent. But according to Michigan law, an FBI agent is not considered a peace officer. The statute defines peace officers as local and state law enforcement. Federal agents don't fit that definition. So even though Charla clearly lied, even though the evidence proved she lied, the charge couldn't move forward. The case was thrown out. Imagine being London's family in that moment. Imagine watching the person who helped cover up your daughter's murder walk free because of a technicality, because of a legal definition. The frustration was unbearable. The anger was overwhelming. But investigators weren't giving up. They knew Charla was involved. They knew Jalen was involved. They just needed to build a stronger case. A case that couldn't be dismissed on a technicality. So they kept working, countless hours of investigation, going through evidence, interviewing witnesses, building a timeline, connecting the dots. Wayne County Prosecutor Kim Worthy and her team were determined. The Michigan State Police were determined. The FBI was determined. Justice for London Thomas was delayed, but it wasn't denied. Not yet. October 16, 2025. 6 months after London Thomas was killed, Wayne County Prosecutor Kim Worthy stood before the media and announced the charges everyone had been waiting for. Jalen Pendergrass, 23 years old, of Inkster, charged with second-degree murder and tampering with evidence. Charla Pendergrass, 49 years old, of Clawson, charged with second-degree murder and tampering with evidence. Both of them, mother and son, both accused of murdering London Thomas and covering it up. Both were taken into custody, and if convicted, both face up to life in prison. Prosecutor Worthy didn't hold back. "I am proud of the excellent work that has been done in this case," she said. "It has taken countless hours of investigation and diligent work by the Michigan State Police, the Detroit Police Department, and the FBI. As a result of that work, we have been able to charge and bring the perpetrators of this cruel and deadly crime to justice." Cruel and deadly, that's exactly what it was. So what evidence did investigators have? What convinced prosecutors to finally bring murder charges? First, there was the friend's testimony. The man who moved the sealed plastic bin. He told police everything about Charla's phone call, about transporting the bin to Southfield, about placing it in the SUV. His testimony was crucial. Then there were the phone records. London's phone pinged in Westland, not Inkster. That proved something was very wrong. It proved London didn't just leave Jalen's house and go home. There was video evidence. Footage that contradicted Charla's story about seeing London leave the house alive. There was DNA evidence collected during the FBI raid, evidence that tied the suspects to the crime. And there was electronic evidence, text messages, call logs, digital footprints that painted a picture of what really happened. All of it together built a case strong enough to charge both Jalen and Charla with murder. The next day, October 17, 2025, both defendants were arraigned at the 22nd District Court in Inkster. They appeared before a judge. The charges were read. Bond was set, and through their attorneys, both Jalen and Charla maintained their innocence. Jalen's attorney, Adam Clements, told reporters, "I hope people will let the evidence play itself out and respect the process." Charla's attorney, Terry L. Johnson, questioned the evidence and the timing of the charges. But for London's family, none of that mattered. After 6 months of waiting, after the frustration of seeing charges dismissed on a technicality, they finally had what they'd been praying for: accountability. Grandmother Justina Martin spoke for the entire family when she said, "I want justice for my granddaughter. I want them to get the maximum penalty they can get. The legal process is just beginning. There will be court hearings, there will be a trial. The defense will present their case, the prosecution will present theirs. But for now, London's family can take a breath. They can know that the people accused of taking their daughter, their granddaughter, their baby girl away from them are being held accountable. Justice for London Thomas is finally within reach. The pain of losing London Thomas will never go away. Her family knows that. They live with it every single day. Stepfather Darnell Johnson got a tattoo in London's honor, a permanent reminder of the girl they lost, a way to keep her close. He spoke about the people accused of killing her, and his words were powerful. Harming a child, taking their life, that's beyond being a parent. That's just straight evil. Straight evil. That's what it takes to do what was done to London. Grandmother Justina Martin thinks about London constantly. She remembers the phone calls, the way London would call just to say, "I love you." No reason, no favor to ask, just love. Father Cedric Salisbury feels the emptiness every day. The empty seat at the dinner table, the silence where London's voice used to be, the phone that doesn't ring anymore. London will never graduate from high school. She'll never walk across that stage and get her diploma. She'll never go to prom in the dress she picked out. She'll never go to college. She'll never fall in love with someone who truly loves her back. She'll never have children of her own. She'll never grow old. All of that was taken from her at just 17 years old. The community has rallied around the family. Vigils were held, memorials were created. People who never met London showed up to honor her memory. Friends remember her fondly. Everyone that knows her love her, one friend said. She was so smart, so hardworking. That butterfly tattoo on London's neck, the one she was so proud of, it was supposed to symbolize transformation, beauty, freedom, the ability to change and grow and become something amazing. Now it symbolizes a life cut tragically short, a girl who never got the chance to spread her wings and fly. But London's memory lives on, in her family's hearts, in the community that fought to find her, in the investigators who never gave up, and in everyone who hears her story and vows to do better. Even with charges filed, there are still so many questions about what really happened to London Thomas. What happened on the morning of April 5, 2025? What happened inside that house on Carlisle Street? Prosecutors say the relationship between London and Jalen had already ended by the time she arrived. So why was she there? Was she trying to get closure? Was she picking up her things? Did Jalen ask her to come over one last time? And if the relationship was over, did that make Jalen angry? Did he feel like he was losing control? Did London's decision to end things trigger something violent in him? The cause of death was asphyxia. That's a violent, intimate way to kill someone. It's not quick, it's not accidental, it requires sustained effort. It means someone physically stopped London from breathing until she died. Did Jalen kill London in a rage when she tried to leave? Did he snap when she stood her ground? And then there's Charla Pendergrass, Jalen's mother, a 49-year-old woman who allegedly helped cover up a murder. Why would a mother do that? Why would she help her son hide a body? Why would she lie to investigators? Did she know what was in the sealed plastic bin when she asked her friend to move it? Or did Jalen tell her it was something else? Either way, she made a choice. She chose to protect her son instead of doing the right thing. She chose loyalty over justice. That's not being a parent, that's being an accomplice. And what about the friend who moved the bin? He didn't ask questions, he just did what Charla asked. Should he face charges too? Should he have known something was wrong? When do we have a responsibility to speak up? When do we have a responsibility to ask questions? Looking back, there were so many red flags in this case. The 6-year age gap between London and Jalen. She was 17, he was 23. That's a huge difference in life experience and power. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one, and I genuinely want to know what you think about this case. If you've made it this far, you're officially part of the Crazy Dark Files family. And I need you to do something for me. Hit that subscribe button right now, because we're not done covering this case. As the trial progresses, we'll bring you updates. We'll follow this case all the way to the verdict. And if you want to see justice for London Thomas, hit that like button. It helps this video reach more people. It helps make sure London's story is heard. If you're in a relationship, you need to know the warning signs. Red flags that tell you something is wrong. Controlling behavior. Does your partner tell you what to wear, who you can talk to, where you can go? That's not love, that's control. Isolation. Does your partner try to separate you from your friends and family? Do they get upset when you spend time with other people? That's a red flag. Jealousy. A little jealousy is normal, but extreme jealousy, accusations, checking your phone constantly, that's dangerous. Verbal abuse, name-calling, put-downs, making you feel worthless, that's abuse, and it often leads to physical violence. And any physical violence at all, pushing, shoving, grabbing, hitting, is never okay. Not once, not ever. Pay attention to age gaps. If you're a teenager and someone in their 20s wants to date you, ask yourself why. Why aren't they dating people their own age? Often it's because they want someone they can control, someone with less experience, someone who won't recognize the red flags. Trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Don't ignore that feeling in your gut. And most importantly, tell someone. Don't try to handle a dangerous situation alone. Talk to a parent, a teacher, a counselor, a friend's parent, anyone you trust. You are not weak for asking for help. You are smart. You always have the right to leave a relationship. You always deserve to be safe. And if someone threatens you for trying to leave, that's when you know you absolutely need to get out and get help. London Thomas was just 17 years old. She was a daughter, a granddaughter, a friend, a young woman with dreams and hopes and a future that should have been bright. That future was stolen from her on April 5th, 2025, allegedly by someone she trusted, with the alleged help of that person's mother. The betrayal is almost impossible to comprehend. How do you trust someone, go to their home, and have them take your life? How does a mother help her son hide that crime? It's the kind of evil that shakes you to your core. But London's story doesn't end with her death. Her family fought for her, they searched for her, they refused to let her disappear without answers. And because of their persistence, because of the tireless work of investigators, murder charges have been filed. Lled Pendergrass and Charla Pendergrass will face trial. They maintain their innocence. That's their right. But the evidence will speak. A jury will hear the facts, and justice will be served. For now, London's family waits. They grieve, they remember, they honor her memory in every way they can. No verdict will bring London back. No prison sentence will fill the void she left. But accountability matters. Justice matters. London's life mattered, and we must make sure her death is not in vain. London Thomas deserved better. She deserved to graduate from high school. She deserved to go to prom. She deserved to chase her dreams. She deserved to grow old. She deserved to fall in love with someone who truly loved her back. She deserved to become whoever she wanted to be. All of that was taken from her, but her memory will live on. In her family's hearts, in the community that rallied to find her, in the investigators who never gave up, and in everyone who hears her story and vows to do better, to be more aware, more vigilant, more compassionate, to speak up when something feels wrong, to protect the vulnerable, to fight for justice. Rest in peace, London Thomas. Your life mattered, your story matters, and we will not forget you. If London's story affected you, please share this video. Her story deserves to be heard, her memory deserves to be honored. And make sure you're subscribed to Crazy Dark Files and turn on your notifications so you don't miss anything.